graduate on time, just thinking about, an extra year of school. That's not just the extra expense of that. It's also the lost wages of, of a full-time salary. And when you add those two together, that's a huge financial swing. So just be committed to graduating on time.
Hey, this is Shay.
This is Mary Helen.
Welcome to the Pocket Change Podcast.
Well, you'll learn better ways to spend, save, and invest and take control of your financial journey.
So, Mary Helen, college is a fun time. It's full of new memories and new experiences, but it also comes with some big decisions. And a lot of times, deals with finances. And so we're going to talk about some of the decisions that maybe college students have to make as they enter college. And I'm wearing this bow tie for a reason, so we'll find out on this episode.
Absolutely. So if you know somebody in college, you're going to college, listen up because this is going to be a good one.
We've got some good tips.
We are so excited to welcome our guest, special guest, someone so special to me, Dr. Dub Oliver, president of Union University. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's good to be with you, Mary Ellen.
Of course.
And Shay.
Welcome, Dr. Dub. Got the
You're looking
bow
good.
tie.
You're looking good.
So start out by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in higher education.
Grew up in San Antonio, Texas. Went to undergraduate at Baylor. And when I was at Baylor, like you, Mary Helen, I was real involved in things outside of class and just really fell in love with the idea of creating environments for students where they could flourish and they could sense God's purpose for their lives. Then went to graduate school, Texas A&M University for that. Worked at Baylor for a number of years in student life. And then after 17 years, I served as president at East Texas Baptist University before coming to Union 9 years ago.
Yeah. So you, Texas, through and through.
Texas until we moved to Tennessee.
And now Tennessee's the place to be.
Which is awesome. All of our friends from Texas, we always take them downtown because the most famous speech that every Texan knows was made in Jackson, Tennessee. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, it was. Davy Crockett, hero of the Alamo. Mm-hmm. Before the Alamo, he was representing West Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he lost an election. And the reporters said, "Do you have a message for the people of Tennessee?" And he said, "Yes. You can tell them to go to hell. I'm going to Texas."
There you go.
Excuse the language, everybody. But that's what he really said.
It's his words.
It's right.
Yeah.
It's right.
Yeah.
It's recorded right there on the courthouse lawn.
Tell me one thing that you love about higher education that you don't think you can find anywhere else. Like, what is something so special to higher education that keeps you coming back?
Yeah, I love the students. The students are amazing to get to see them. One of the things that's really exciting about college is that students are really becoming adults. And technically, being 18, they're adults legally, but they're really apprenticing as adults. And to see them make their way and sense their calling and establish themselves and be rooted as they are in college is just a really phenomenal experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think higher ed is such a special place where students, apprenticing adults, if you will, like you said, I think that's cool the way you said that, have a chance to try new things, to step outside of their comfort zone, get to know people that are totally different than them, that think differently, that are from different places, maybe from Texas, maybe from Tennessee, whatever it may be. I think that is an experience that you really can't find anywhere else except for in college.
Yeah.
It's unique.
It is. It's a unique experience. It's a very formative experience and ultimately can be really powerful in people's lives. I think, you and Shay both are examples of that. I'm an example of that, and so many others.
And one big part of adulting, if you will, is finances. That's a huge thing that probably is being formed as students are entering college and, have to make different financial decisions. So, we wanted to discuss some of that for college students today, but what's one piece of advice or one money tip that you have for students entering college?
Well, I think, I appreciate you're inviting me on and leaders for having the Pocket Change podcast, because I think even when you think about this idea of apprentice adults, students are really learning how to manage money for the first time, when a parent's not right there with them. An initial advice I'd give is to make friends with a banker, to get a local financial institution one of the things that my dad gave me as advice when I was a young man, he said, son, when you move to a new town, make friends with a banker and a mechanic because you're going to need both of them.
Yes. I needed both when I was in college.
Yeah, it's really true. You mean, you think about it. And I think, again, even a place like Union that attracts students from all over the country and all over the globe, but also a lot of local Jackson students. When the students from out of town have something like that, they say, hey, who can I call about this? And a lot of our students will connect people with people they know. But it's a really important idea. And I think one of the things that maybe we've lost more recently is we think that, because we do internet banking, we don't need to know our banker. And I think actually the opposite's true, because when you have a challenge or when you have a problem or when you need some help, you want someone that you can trust.
Right.
And so anyway, I'd encourage people young people to find a banker in their new town and make a friend.
Well, we're talking about big decisions about finances, about a car or repairs, costly things. So having someone on your side and someone you can trust is so important. So getting to know someone that you trust in those areas, I think, is super important.
Oftentimes, college students are solicited to credit cards. What would you tell them? What is some advice that you have? How would you guide them in that way?
Yeah, I think, big caution. I think, one, they're going to get a ton of solicitations. And, again, just learning from my own mistakes. Someone sends a credit card, hey, you've got, a $2,000 limit. It's like, awesome, free money. Not really free money.
You do have to pay it back.
You do have to pay it back, yeah. The whole idea is they believe you're going to pay it back. That's why they send it to you in the first place. But and I think the challenge for that is not that credit cards are bad, but again, you need to do your homework about, hey, what's a good interest rate? Or, are there any rewards that go with this card? Are there ways, cash back, points, those kind of things. As opposed to just sort of taking the first thing that somebody says, hey, I'll give this to you, or, because of your status as a student. Those companies know that students are going to do well. College students tend to do better economically than those who don't go to college. And so they're hoping that they get a customer. And it's not that I don't want them to have a customer, but, again, just to be careful. In my own situation, I'm ending up charging a bunch of dinners that I should have been paying cash for, as opposed to
don't spend it on the bookstore or at Taco Bell.
Taco Bell, I mean, tons of. And then when you have interest, you're paying $30 for a Taco Bell meal.
Yeah, exactly.
No one wants that.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone should ever enter into a decision without being fully informed and without knowing really what you're walking into. And that's why when you move somewhere, get to know your banker and get to know your mechanic.
Yeah. I mean, just imagine, if you had someone be like, hey, is this a good deal? And somebody be like, well, that's actually is a good deal, or it's not really a very good deal for you.
That's why asking questions is so good too.
So even though college students oftentimes are strapped for cash, I know I was a lot of times, had to work during college and probably spend money on things maybe I didn't necessarily need, but
as we all do
in college.
Yes.
But there are ways that students can still make an impact with their finances or with their choices in college. What are some ways that students can do that?
I think even thinking about this podcast, being a good steward of what you have, whether you have little or much. Thinking about it as a stewardship as opposed to I'm poor. It's sort of it's easy to say I'm poor, I don't have any money. It's harder to say I want to be a good steward of everything that has been entrusted to me. And so I'd encourage them to think about it as a stewardship. I think about things like generosity. A lot of times people think of generosity as that only wealthy people can be generous. And the reality is everybody can be generous. And I found that people who are generous, who have little, when they get much, are also generous, and that people can be kind of stingy, whether they have little or much. And so being generous, just kind of having a generous mindset, you have a ton of time, you have a ton of energy, you have a ton of strength as a young person, and all of those things can be contributed. I think you can also be thankful. Just the idea of gratitude. I was having lunch with an alum guy who just graduated, and he was telling about his own, and I said, hey, tell me how you paid for college. And he's like, my parents, totally supported me. I was like, that's amazing. He's like, yeah, I'm so blessed. And, just having the idea of, hey, thanking people who have made a way, people who provide scholarships, just having an attitude of gratitude is another way that you can steward whatever you have.
Yeah, I think even with a small amount, I mean, it could take a couple dollars to buy a thank you card or whatever the case is, where you're talking about expressing gratitude and just being thankful for what we do have and how we can share that with others. I think it's a great ideas.
It's funny that you said thank you card, because I was going to bring that up of thank you notes go a really long way. People may keep that for a super long time. They may throw it away. What they do once it's given to them is their decision, but just the effort in writing a note. And I know that I graduated from Union University, and Dr. Dub signed my diploma, and he hand signed every single one of them. And that goes a long way. Like, that's so meaningful to me, and I'll have that forever. And you took the time to do that. And anyways, all that I'm saying is that you don't have to be a good steward of just your money, but also your time, also your resources. Yeah. And if you're not going to be happy with 90%, you're probably not going to be happy with 100% either. Whatever you do decide to give and however much you allot, like, that is completely your decision. But there's not much difference between 90 and 100, and that 10% can go far wherever it goes.
And I think, again, learning these things, apprentice adults, college students, it's not that we stop learning after college, but you really, you can experience some of these things like gratitude, really sort of the first time that, like, your mom's not sitting over you saying, write the thank you note,
every
like,
Christmas.
You're just like, I just really want them to know how much I appreciate them.
Right.
How different that is than, living a life that has that kind of gratitude is.
Talking about being good stewards and stewards of our time, and maybe we can flow that into college students working, what would you advise them to do on that? Yeah,
I would encourage college students to work. The research shows that students who work between 10 and 20 hours a week really do better, persist to graduation, make better grades, are really happier. Of course, they also have some money, which is, kind of nice that they want to go to a movie or want to go to a concert or, do something. They have the money to do it and don't feel like, they shouldn't be doing that. Right. So I definitely encourage that. That's a great way, again, to build disciplines in your life. There's lots of jobs on campus, that also helps. One of the challenges can be like if you're at a place that doesn't understand sort of the academic culture and I've got tests and I need some time off, that might be a little more challenging. And it does, the research shows that it breaks about 20 hours. So working more than 20 hours tends to be more negative for academic success. But 10 to 20 hours is really positive for student success.
It puts a little extra cash in your pocket too.
So a little extra cash.
And experience. Gives you experience for, after college, what might come from that. So that's helpful too. Are there other opportunities for financial assistance for students? I mean, I know we talk about scholarships and things, but even after the first year, there are other options? Yeah,
I think, I always encourage students to continue to look for scholarships because there are some scholarships that are offered for sophomores or juniors or seniors or who have achieved a certain either level of excellence or a position.
Well, that's good to know.
So, continue to pursue scholarships is something really valuable. And the reality is that, you can earn your way out of scholarships. Lose your scholarship is another way to say that. So don't do that. That's a stewardship.
Good piece of financial advice. Yeah.
That's a good piece of advice. So, but you can also earn your way into scholarships. So looking at that. A second thing I'd say is just that, graduate on time. Just thinking about, an extra year of school. That's not just the extra expense of that. It's also the lost wages of, of a full-time salary. And when you add those two together, that's a huge financial swing. So just be committed to graduating on time. Again, my parents said, hey, we're going to support you for 8 semesters. And after that, you're on your own.
Right.
And so, it came to my senior year. I needed to take 18 hours the fall semester of my senior year. I was like, I'm taking it because I got one more semester after this to get finished. And So, just having that commitment,
Sure.
that was a little externally motivating, but having the internal motivation to finish on time is a great thing to do.
And then
Yeah.
even some of the like work study positions could maybe go toward tuition, I think.
Sure. Oh, yeah,
true,
absolutely.
right? So that's helpful too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think the other thing too, just about money, is one of the great things about college is you begin to realize how much fun you can have without money,
Mhm.
and like how you can
Yeah.
design inexpensive dates, or taking advantage of all of the free things that the college
Yes.
offers or that the town offers.
Student discounts.
Student
Gotta take
discounts is a
advantage of those.
huge thing. And it's like, why would you not save 10% just because you're too proud to show your ID?
Yeah, get that ID card out. I did it every time.
No, I'm
Yeah.
always saying, do you have a union discount?
Mhm.
And if they say no, big deal. I've just said that I've just increased our brand identity by
There you
saying
go.
union. So.
Do they even have faculty and staff?
Oh yeah, sure,
yeah.
sure.
See? That's
So
even
that's a
better.
that's another good way to make your money go farther and just be a good steward of what you've got.
Okay, Dr. Deb, we have a final question for you, and it's a fun one. If you had extra change in your pocket, what would you spend it on?
I'd probably buy a book.
Okay.
I love to read.
Any
thought
on
you
the
were gonna
top of your
say-
head?
I love to read. Well, I just bought one.
Okay.
It's called The Life According to Charlie. It's about a guy who was 109 years old.
Wow.
And I can't wait to read it. I just got it. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to reading that.
There's so many stories within those 109 years.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can you get a bow
That's
tie with
awesome.
pocket change, or is that kind of, you need a little bit more for that?
You could probably get it
Depends.
with your pocket change, Shay.
Or I want to buy a bobblehead. That's what I want to buy. with my pocket
Bobbleheads,
change.
those are collector's items. So
Yeah.
you got to that
Might
that
be a
may
little
cost
more.
a little more pocket change.
Have to be
we
doing
might
these
have to break
podcasts for a
the
while.
piggy bank for that.
Well, thanks for being on the podcast. We
Hey, it's
enjoyed
great
it.
to be with y'all.
Thanks for tuning in to the Pocket Change podcast,
Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe, and to watch our videos on YouTube,
so you can check out my bow tie. The Pocket Change podcast is brought to you by Leaders Credit Union.
where we power your passion to make lives better.
Cha-ching! Leaders is federally insured by the NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
Learn more at leaderscu.com.